Don't worry about it. It's just okay. I think we should be live. Guys, welcome to a new episode of Citizen's Odyssey. And in this format, instead of podcasting as we've already been doing before, what we do is live streams with different projects across the ecosystem. And specifically today, we're going to do an episode. Well, we're already doing it with Orbital Apes, who are validating Evmos. They are one of the biggest, I believe, the second biggest. Well, they go first to second all the time. And we had a podcast episode with them with CO, who's going to join us in a couple of minutes, I believe. And we already have Mr. Se with us, right? Hi, man.
Hello, how's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
All good. Today is Governance Thursday in Evmos.
Yeah, yes. That's why we're gonna like start have a genuine chit chat with you until everybody join us. Because guys, for everybody who is watching or listening, or either listening to the recording or watching the recording, there has been the Evmos governance call that did go a little bit over time. So I guess the other guys from Orbital Apes will join us as we go. Um, Man, how is it? How was the governance call? Let me ask you the obvious thing.
It was all right. There's not really many on-chain proposals at the moment. There are a bunch of Commonwealth pre-discussions. So we were just going over them, mainly some projects asking for funding to start new projects in Evmos. Still very early into the conversations,
Uh-huh.
but yeah, there's a bunch of that stuff.
Anything, any proposals that you're excited to personally, like something that connects to you personally?
Not really. There's very interesting proposal about a carbon credits management system based on NFTs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm particularly interested in that one because that would bring more NFTs to Evmos, and I guess we will host those NFTs in Orbit Market. Um, yeah, but I'm not really uh, in favor of that proposal since they are asking $250,000 to start a project from the ground up,
Uh-huh.
and I don't believe it's a public, like it's a for-profit platform um, using community funds, right? That's not going to benefit all of the community, right? For example, if you request funding for, there was a proposal that passed for funding a randomness oracle, then that randomness randomness to every developer in Evmos for free. So that proposal passed, and community funds are going to fund that public good that every member of the community can use, right? My issue with these private projects requesting for funds is that if they don't bring a value to the community, or if they're not like a public good that anybody can use for free, then how much worth it is it to use community funds to fund it in the first place, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, we're just starting to talk about that stuff, getting feedback from every community member and seeing how things go.
It's an interesting position where like 4 or 5 years ago in blockchain, everybody was talking about, oh, I mean, when community funds will be available, there'll be so many projects. And now obviously one of the first things that happen in, like in any kind of, I'm gonna call it VC for the sake of it, that projects come unprepared. They don't even have a product, a lot of them, and they're expecting like the community funds to pay for everything just from the idea. But obviously, like in any VC market, I think it's a very competitive market. And even if it's a decentralized VC market, like with community funds, I think projects cannot expect to come with empty handed to any blockchain and say, hey, we have an idea, give us $250,000 or $1 million or whatever. I hope that a lot more projects will take into account that blockchains will be prepared to fund them as long as they have a product that benefits the blockchain itself, and not just for the sake of giving them money. That's the way I see it anyways. But yeah.
Exactly. And the main difference with VCs is that VCs don't get screwed because they get a portion of the business, right? Community
Yeah.
funds just they leave and they don't come back ever again. Um,
Exactly.
so
Exactly.
yeah, we have
Exactly.
to be very careful. Being one of the largest validators put us in a position where teams approach us before writing proposals to try to explain their project to us, right? So
Hmm.
apart from the proposals that are public right now, we've been talking to a bunch of teams requesting similar type of fundings. And if we're not careful and we don't like come together and filter out projects as a community and we start accepting every proposal, the community funds are not going to last too much, I think. Like there's every week there's a couple of projects.
That's
So
crazy, man. I
it's
didn't
pretty
know
fun.
that.
But yeah, I think I don't know, things are going very fast.
By the way, CO has joined us. CO, man, hi, how are you?
Hey, finally got it to work. Sorry.
It's okay. We kicked off slowly with a conversation about what was going on in. We're already live, but we kicked off a couple of minutes before, talking about what was an Evmos governance call, and me and Mr. Se were just discussing that projects should be prepared when asking for money. Roughly, that was the kind of topic. Was there anything interesting you want to point out from the Evmos community call that you were just on? Sorry, the
Yeah,
governance
I
call. I
mean,
mean.
I covered it. Like, it's pretty interesting to see people come to talk about their projects and everything because you do get to learn a lot and you can interact directly with them. But I do feel that people need to be a bit more prepared. Also, like, something I do think needs to be worked on is some clarity on the procedures of everything because us that we've been in the ecosystem, like in Evmos from the beginning since it relaunched, we know how the process works and how we should pass a proposal, how should we create a Commonwealth post, and we've already passed one proposal to add some infrastructure to Evmos. We're familiar with the process, but it's not as straightforward for people from the outside. So I think this is one of the main focuses we need to do. I don't know if it could be like something we could put, for example, a notification in Minscan where or a link you go to the specific instructions on how to go through this process. I think that will help people submit a proposal because it's gonna be pretty strict from now on. I think like, getting more critical with what they accept and what they want to spend the funds on. So I think like it's critical for anybody to be ready for this and to follow the right process because it's what we're used to and what's been working until now.
I think it's a very interesting point you mentioned about the process because I think those processes are going to change as the validator set is going to change. So obviously, like as the community going to change, it might not, of course. But I have this kind of image in my head that the process is dictated by the state of the community, right? And if the state of the community, the power shifts, then maybe the process will shift as well. And but I agree definitely that the project should be able to kind of be in the current process, should be aware of it because they come into the concrete community. I mean, if they know that this is the process, the things are going to be much faster. And by the way, guys, before we carry on the conversation, the idea, just like for everybody who's again for everybody who's listening, whether it's a recording or whether you're watching this live, and I believe some people are because we already have like one question. Because we did promise some atoms from our side for some good questions, and I believe that the guys from Orbital Apes kindly also offered possibly an NFT ape, of course, for a good question. But we will ask them that in a second. CO, is that true, or are the rumors not true?
Yeah, gonna be an ape NFT and then some Evmos for important
Woo!
questions.
Yeah, let's see if they arise. And by the way, I was just gonna finish the point. The idea of what we decided like to do, not decided to do. I mean, we've been doing this for a while, this whole educational thing. But the idea of this conversation is like to paint a profile of the Orbital Apes validator. And of course, we had a podcast with CO already, and me and CO kind of went into this topic of gaming and a lot of other things. But that was more, in my opinion, kind of like getting to know CO. The idea of this, I wanted to do this with as many validators as possible, so people really do get a profile, not of what validators do, because I have some questions on that for you, but like what mean CO talked about as well, like what motivates a validator to do things. And on that kind of note, one of the first thing I do want to ask you guys about, and feel free to take the conversation any way you want, is that as far as I'm aware, you guys have actually finished the roadmap that you had planned. And my question is, what are your next plans? What are you guys planning to do? I mean, of course, developing the game, obviously, that is one big thing. But as far as I understood, you did finish your roadmap. Is that correct? What you were planning from the beginning?
Actually, our collection went the opposite way of what people normally do. We finished the roadmap before actually launching the collection. So the NFT marketplace and the validator were up even before we launched, and we got to the
Excellent.
top before anything. So a pretty strong start. Then for the game, we discussed all of this on the previous call we had. So it's still under development. We're still adding more features. We want to make it perfect because right now that we built this amazing community, we truly want to make something special. So it's something that takes time. But yesterday we had a Twitter Spaces where we covered pretty much some alpha about our next project. Yeah, it's gonna be called Orbit Rumble. This is one of the projects we're gonna release in the meantime before we finish the game. This is a fully decentralized raffle system. So I mentioned previously that we were passing a proposal on. This was for DIA, a team that's launching a randomness oracle on chain. What this allows us to do is to get a seed from the chain. Everything is generated transparently, so we can get random results from the chain. So what we're doing is we have created a raffle system where we can users will be able to mint an NFT to be able to access prizes. So this is something relatively simple this way, but we're taking it a step further with the randomness oracle, because by having this in the chain, we can make it so that anybody in the Evmos ecosystem can create their own raffle. So for example, a project like you can go and offer an NFT, create a raffle, and your users will be able to go mint an NFT and access this raffle. So this is a novel approach we're doing to kind of engage further with the community, to give people access to different prices, give protocols and dApps in the ecosystem a chance to further engage, not with traditional giveaways, but something more exciting, something that can drag more people, get more attention. So this is the first thing we're gonna release. Like this is on the shortest term. And since we're all about this profit sharing and building on the ecosystem and building for NFT holders, 20% of the profits of this new platform are also going to be sent to them. So in addition of validator fees and Orbit marketplace fees, they're going to start receiving their cut from this project. This is going to be the same approach we're going to do in the future. So
Nice, nice.
that's
I did.
what we're working on.
Nice, nice. I did have a question about that, and by the way, you mentioned profit sharing, and I do want to share this with everybody who's listening. I have like chats, questions falling in the chat, which I will ask in a second. But I do want to say this publicly. Was a very nice gesture when our validator, the Citizen Cosmos validator on Evmos, like we are doing more or less okay on the other networks, but on Evmos we're kind of at the bottom when we had some trouble, and we did fall out of the set. And Orbital Apes were kind enough, the validator, to like they did just mention, CO just mentioned profit sharing. And I do want to say that this is for real. The guys did delegate a little delegation to us, but it made us, helped us to stay afloat, and it's still helping us to stay afloat. So, guys, if you're like a validator out there who is like us in Evmos struggling a little bit, the guys in Orbital Apes are actually doing what they're saying. So that's actually pretty cool. And I think that paints a picture already of what the people are. But sorry for the rambling, but I just wanted to say thank you kind of publicly out for that. There is some questions here that I'm going to go to them. There's already a few. Somebody is asking, by the way, what was the Orbital Apes validator vote on the proposal we just talked about, the RNG project? I believe it's referring to the other call, not to this one.
Yeah, well, obviously we voted yes because we were the that we won. So what happened was we needed this oracle to use to create the raffles, right? So our team members started talking to different teams that offer random oracles, and we came up with Dia team, and it seemed like their product had the best fit for what we wanted to do and for what a decentralized randomness oracle looks should look like, right? So then we approached them and we asked them how much is it for us to pay for the service, and they said that if you pay for the service, it's not like if we our Orbital team Apes team pay for the service, anybody in the chain will be able to use it. Like once you pay for it, it's free for everybody, right? So that's when we decided that it might be a better use of funds to fund it from the community pool, because it is a public good that anybody can use for free. Um, and yeah, we voted yes because we wanted it in the first place, right? And it's
Makes sense.
gonna attract a lot more apps to Evmos, because now you can do many different types of games or applications that uses randomness.
Makes sense.
Yep.
There is one more question here about Rumble. Will the new project Rumble use Chainlink? Excuse me. We're talking about the Oracle. For anybody who's not familiar with what Chainlink is, in order to validate the randomness of the raffles.
Yeah, Chainlink has a very good product called Chainlink VRF. That's probably what this person is referring to. But Chainlink, from our estimation, is gonna take a bunch of time to come to Evmos. So that's why we went and looked for a different provider. And Dia is gonna provide us everything. It's gonna provide us the random number, the random seats, and you can back check and prove the fairness of the randomness uh, infrastructure that they have. So it's basically DI is replacing Chainlink VRF.
I'm gonna throw in the philosophical questions from my side here. Why do you guys believe randomness is important? This is gonna be devil's advocate question, of course, but I want to hear your opinion. Any of you? Why is randomness that important in anything, in gaming, in economics, in the world? Why? Why?
I don't know. Say, for
But why
example,
do you guys think?
a very simple use case. Okay, you build a very simple game. Okay, you have a character that's walking straight. Okay, and then every now and then the character is gonna, for example, Pokemon. When you're walking around, sometimes you find a Pokemon and you have to fight it, right? For that to happen, there has to be a randomness. So you can place those Pokemons randomly around the map, right? So I think it's a building block for many games. As another example, our raffle system. Because of that Oracle, Rumble is permissionless. Nobody controls Rumble. Nobody's the owner of the randomness. Nobody controls the results, and we can get random winners and choose random winners just because we have that functionality. So I think it's the building block for a lot of
Of course.
yeah, a lot of different games that we can do in blockchain.
Of course. The next one is not a question, more of a comment, but I guess both of you could comment a lot. Feel free to comment, whoever wishes. A comment from Blacksmith. It would be very cool if there was an opportunity to customize apes from the main OA collection, combining utility and cool design. So I guess it's a comment if anybody wants to comment. CO, Mr. Se.
Yeah, so actually, like all of this, of course, can be discussed. One, I guess the closer thing to that would be the custom ape we're selling for. It's claimable for OEV in the OEV store. We expected it to be sold earlier. It's gonna be multiple of them, so I think we're gonna lower the price for next month. But this is pretty much to talk directly to the design team and design whatever you want as an ape, and we will mint it for you, and it's gonna be part of the Orbital Apes Limited. Then in the future, it's certainly a possibility to alter the designs of the apes. The thing we have to consider here is that not like it's gonna be a change in the collection, so it's not necessarily something that everybody would like because it was completely random at first. Like whatever you minted was a chance, or whatever you bought in the marketplace was something you really liked, so you went for that. So I don't know. Like we have a governance system for example, we had a proposal where we asked people if they wanted to burn or for whatever wasn't claimed. So I guess this could also pass to something like that, where the community decides. Certainly possible if everybody, but it's a big change that we would need to decide. So for now, like the closest thing you can do is get the custom ape by Bats, and we will design anything you want.
There is a comment or a question. Well, there is a question, and I'm gonna try to make another devil's advocate comment, which I love a lot out of that. Is the marketplace? Well, it's the second part of the question, so I'm gonna ask the first one. Are the NFT numbers always going to be limited only to 10,000? And is the marketplace can only be used right now for Orbital NFT only? And I'm gonna make a little more of a, like I said, a strange comment out of it, and you guys feel free to comment. Why? Well, why do you still like? I mean, I know that to add an NFT, I have to write to somebody from the team right now, if I'm correct, and only it goes through a certain procedure. Is there a plan to open that up, like with let's say with OpenSea, where you can just come and click some buttons and add?
Yeah, so the reason why we don't have that is the infrastructure needed to sync with every contract deployed automatically is we don't have it in Evmos right now. So, for example, our marketplace relies on Graph. Graph is a service that indexes smart contract events and gives developers the tool to present that information into a nice UI, for example. Ethereum, Avalanche, Phantom, like all of the old ones have the Graph hosted service. That means they can just go to the Graph website and host their Graph and their infrastructure there for free. However, Evmos is 3 months old and there's no Graph hosted service in Evmos. So we have to rebuild what the infrastructure that Graph provides for free in other chains, if that makes sense. So it's not because we don't want to, but the technical challenge and engineering resources that are needed to achieve that automatic sync are way too much for the beginning of the marketplace. We definitely plan to do it like that in the future, but it's going to be an update. I don't know if maybe in 2023, or whenever we have more infrastructure providers come into Evmos.
In the next bull market. No, I'm joking, guys. When, but by the way, talking about infrastructure providing, how I don't know if you're in place to talk about it. If you, if no, say. If yes, I would love to hear your comments here. What is, without going into private details, that into security details, can you paint for validators out there, like in two words, what should be their infrastructural setup if they're planning to start a validator? Not just on Evmos, maybe, but maybe you can talk particularly about Evmos, of course, but in Cosmos ecosystem in general. Maybe you can mention some of your own things that you do, again, without doing it a security breach. But maybe like important points of you have to keep so many sentry nodes, or I don't know, whatever, like ta 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 ta. Is that something we can, you guys are ready to talk about, or?
Yeah, like we would love to talk about it, but the one member that is in charge of the validator is not in the call right now. Um, I
Okay,
don't know
no
much about the
worries.
specifics. I do know, like we when the validator was started in the early days, I was just overlooking what Control Alt Tape was doing. Um, he's the one that manages the validator,
Uh-huh.
and I remember that the Evmos docs were super specific about what you need.
Yeah.
However, we found that the minimum memory required, that's like one of the few things I remember from that time, right? Was 32, I think. Um, but if you really want to get it started, you need
64.
64 RAM for sure.
This is the same thing with
Um,
Cosmos, I remember. Sorry to interrupt you there.
yeah, and it's I don't know. It's once the validator synced for the first time, it never used the full memory again, right? And it's like I can
Okay.
run it with 32, but I cannot start it with 32. So I guess we'll just pay double the infra, the specs, just to start it.
I think in Cosmos, once it runs, I'm afraid to be quoted on that. And please, guys who are listening to this, don't quote me on that. Don't kill me. But as far as I remember, like our validators doesn't use once it starts, not more than like 2 or 4 even. But you need a lot to start. So true. By the way, do you guys plan to expand your validator to other networks?
Yeah. So we just started talking about it with our community members. Like we've had the idea to do it. We're not sure if we should try to go into an existing chain and start um, like validating there and see how many of the Aerial Apes community are in those chains. But right now, Go maybe can comment on our ideas for the future in terms of chains that we've.
Yeah, so right now we're actually negotiating and talking with a chain to expand our services. Not ready to announce it yet, but it's gonna come very soon. I think we could potentially make a firm announcement by next week or something like that. But yeah, definitely within our plans, it's something our community wants, and it's something that's gonna help the ecosystem continue to grow. So it's still gonna be within Evmos, but yeah, we're gonna branch out.
It's gonna be within Evmos, right? Is that the hint?
No, sorry, within Cosmos.
Damn. What letter does it start with? No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. Um, there is a question here. The Territory Project has just announced they would target Orbital Apes community for their airdrop. Does this make sense? Yeah, does this make sense to see Orbital Apes as a community of the most hardcore Evmos early riders, as OGs, Evmos OGs? That's the question.
Yeah, I think pretty much the Orbital Apes. You can see the main team, the core team, using their honorary apes, and we do have the biggest NFT community, at least in Evmos. And from what I can see in Discords, our apes are pretty active. So yeah, I mean, this territory airdrop, like they're focusing on us because of this community, because they know how our people engage, how much they participate with the overall ecosystem. So today it was confirmed, like the orbital ape holders are gonna get a portion of the territory airdrop, and I think this is something pretty cool, like being able to reach a size where you're recognized just for your community and for your achievements. And this is part of the value we bring to our holders. Like we're constantly engaging in discussions with other projects, seeing what we can bring to the table. And whenever we find the right match, people can be sure that we're gonna bring it to them.
What are those values?
So I mean, I don't mean values as in like words, but actual value for the NFT, like utility or
Sorry,
connections
sorry, sorry, sorry.
with other chains.
My apologies. Sorry. It's just interesting because we did speak with you a lot about values, right? Not a lot, but we did mention values on the podcast that we did, right? And you had a lot of things about like what I liked about your answer was that you're here to succeed. Am I correct to remember that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Mentioning is that we run this project as a business, so of course maximizing the value for stakeholders is our drive. So whenever we can provide something like this, we're gonna go for it. Like we're always fully transparent. We're telling people what we're gonna do, trying to involve them in decisions, so pretty much representing them in a bigger ecosystem. So that's how we manage this project.
Strange question. Do you see Stargaze as somebody that for the project with the NFTs as how to say what's the right word? As competition or as somebody you can work together with to achieve greater NFT future for the Cosmos?
So, I mean, this question, a bit tough. So, when it comes to competition, like I can fully say we believe our marketplace is superior. I think people may recognize that when using it. We have a lot more features, and we really focused on bringing what makes the EVM great into Evmos, and we're gonna slowly push this into Cosmos. The thing that Stargaze does have is a massive community, and that's the other half of what you need. So first of all, the tech has to be amazing, and the community has to be amazing, because if you don't have a community to use the tech, then it doesn't make sense to have it. So I think we can learn a lot from Stargaze. I don't think we see them as competition, but as maybe a potential to collaborate with to continue expanding, because they have an amazing community. Like, this is undeniable. They have so many projects, so many people interacting with them, that it's something we could also try to approach. But we also think we bring a lot of value to the table with what we've built. Like, we believe we've set a new standard. So I think this is more of the approach we want the entire Cosmos to take when it comes to development, especially in the NFT industry.
Because I have seen around chats, like I'm gonna take it, like carry on with this analogy, but take it a little bit to the side. I have seen in different chats, and again, I'm sorry if I'm gonna upset some people who listening to this, but people mentioning that, oh, the Orbital Apes, have means to self promote and to give things to their, but that's about competition, about free market and competitions. In my opinion, those kind of comments from people in a decentralized market are a bit like, but that is the free market. You playing by the rules of the market, anybody can do it. So, and I remember you were saying, the reason I'm mentioning this is because I remember you guys, you specifically, CEO, saying that competition is very important, and I totally agree with you. I mean, if there was no competition, there'll probably be no innovation. And how can you expect to create, an amazing kind of technology or amazing anything without innovation? I'm not sure, and I don't believe that innovation exists without competition. Do you guys agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've gotten in trouble. Like, we really push our project, we push our brand. Some people don't necessarily agree with what we do, but this is what's ultimately going to drive growth in the chain. So we always play by the rules. We play fair with everyone, but we are making a huge effort to promote our brand. And this is something that we've seen some people complain about it, but I don't think that's the right approach. Like, instead of criticizing this, people could try to mimic our approach, just as we are trying to mimic the great people in the ecosystem. Like, if we see something that works, then we're going to go for that. Not necessarily go against that, but maybe try to find our own unique approach to take and build on that idea. But it's always about putting yourself beyond what's currently being done. So I don't believe criticism of those innovative plans is the best way to do it. Like, of course, people can come and give us constructive criticism. Maybe if we're pushing on something we shouldn't do or something like that, then yeah, we will always listen to them. But we're never going to stop developing. We're never going to stop pushing our brand. Of course, always according to guidelines. But yeah, we really make an effort. And that's how we reach this position, because it's all about innovation and growth. So we're going to continue pushing for that.
Talking about growth, there is a question, like I guess a subjective question. Well, it doesn't have to be a subjective answer. Do you see an increase in projects' interest in the Evmos ecosystem? And what about NFT projects applying to Orbit market? I assume that the person is asking, is there an increase in the amount? I hope I'm correct. I'm sorry if I'm not. Please do correct me, guys, whoever's asking the question. So the question is, I'm gonna summarize it. Do you guys see an increase in interest from other projects in the Evmos ecosystem? And is there an increase in the amount of NFT projects applying for Orbit market?
Yeah, so this, like, I'm in direct contact with everybody that's gonna come for a community or when they want to launch a project. So there's definitely interest, but the thing is, Cosmos hasn't been Solidity based or EVM based. So a lot of the projects already in the ecosystem don't have the tech stack to come directly into Evmos. So of course there's a lot of interest, but people aren't necessarily ready yet to come and deploy in Evmos. What I have seen is that right now people's demand for quality is very high, so they will only invest in the top project. So right now in Evmos we have a few. We have a few that have endured this market, that have grown. But I think that right now, like, it's all about finding the right project with quality, with value behind it, and that's gonna show up. So while we have had interest from other projects, on our side, I was talking about this on a Spaces yesterday. When we run the marketplace, it's pretty much tied to our brand. So for us, even the logic thing would be to onboard, not necessarily logic, but we could onboard every single collection, try to push every new project that wants to come as an NFT in Evmos, but this is not the right thing for users. We sort of try to add a layer of protection because there's many projects that either don't have the right management to finish their project, or just disappear after not having success. So we really want to protect our apes because it's part of our brand. So whenever we're associated with someone, it's gonna be when we know the team, when we know what they're doing, what results they can bring. So all of this is part of it.
What is it's interesting that you mentioned the word brand a lot. I like it because, but usually people associate the word brand. At least my brain. Okay, I'm gonna talk from myself. Like my brain associates the word brand with I don't know, Levi's, McDonald's, like typical big companies or corporations. And obviously my brain does the second straight away kind of connection from it to the fiat world. So the question is, what do you guys find the most difficult thing about trying to develop a decentralized brand? Are there any specific difficulties, well, that in developing a decentralized brand that apply only to that market and don't apply to the world outside of blockchain?
Actually, I think these two are extremely connected. Like, a brand is going to be universal. It doesn't have to be only Web3 or only real world. It's pretty much having people recognize what you stand for, what you do. So I'd like to think that when people see the OA of our logo, they know the full range of our products. They know how we started, what our community is like. And this is by no means exclusive to Web3. What Web3 allows you to do is, like, with decentralization and the blockchain, you can really give more power to the people. Because, for example, with the ape holders are part owners of our project, so they're not only customers, but they're so the NFT, which is the centerpiece of everything we've built, is pretty much the key for them to own a piece of the ecosystem. So this is what really gives you a lot more power when it comes to brand building, because people become part of you. Like, I remember before launching the collection, like, there was a lot of criticism, a lot of maybe doubts, but as soon as people invest on the project and they see what it's about and they have their NFT, then they're gonna push it. They're gonna become part of the brand identity. So it's key to have people have ownership in the project, have a stake to achieve sustainable growth, because it's important for everyone. Now it's not only important for the team, but it becomes like a community of 3,000, 4,000 holders that want the best for the project.
And there's actually any good thing you mentioned it, because there's a question here relating to that. We're talking about the Apes Council that you guys use um, as the question here. I'm gonna read the question as it is. Okay. You use Apes Council as a marketing claim in your Twitter promotions, but you run only one vote since launch. Are there any plans to increase the community part in the project?
So I saw that question. I think I addressed it on Discord. I'm not really sure.
Sorry.
So that question was like, vote he mentions was when we and the community, if they wanted to burn the unclaimed supply of OAV tokens or not. So since this was something that was going to change the nature of how we operated, this was something we brought up to a vote. So we haven't had many, like any other major decisions like that. So we haven't really used that governance system. But as we discussed before, like with the idea of modifying the visual appearance of the apes, that's something where we really bring that feature. So whenever we have something that will change the nature of how we operate, we're gonna involve the community. But for now, we're launching new projects. We're getting feedback from people for the marketplace, for example. So null, then we implement it, and that's it. So whenever it's not game breaking, we can do it. Just whenever it's something that will alter how things work, then we're gonna use this system, and that's why it was built. We haven't really needed to use it because nothing huge has been changed, but whenever the time comes, we're gonna use the same system.
There is an interesting question here about validating, and I think I have some questions to carry that on as well. First, the question: what do you think about the common opinion that when you're choosing a validator, you should not choose from the top 20? Where did this even come from? And I'm gonna add to this: isn't that kind of? I understand the whole thing, but then if nobody is gonna delegate to the top 20, then eventually those top 20 fall out the top 20, and nobody delegates to the next. Like, is that creates a good thing, or does that create something bad? So what do you guys think about the thing to delegate the top 20? Where did this come from in your opinion? And my part of the question is, should that the way it should be, or is there any other models you guys think are appropriate to decentralize and a stake of a network?
Yeah. So in my opinion, people shouldn't just delegate to outside 20 because they should just do it. But I think everybody should take a step back, wait 1 day before delegating, and do their research into the validators that are available. Maybe they want to support a specific community. If that community is within the top 20, then, but if you want to support it, you can support it. Like you have to go where you want to go, but based on education, not based because someone in Twitter told you to go outside of the first 50. I believe that it's always important to diversify wealth. um, so it's also a good idea to have your tokens spread across different validators, and that way you can help more validators in that way, and also protect yourself from getting slashed by a particular validator. But also, yeah, my main point is research is important. Whether you are doing top 20 or the bottom 20, you have to do your research, make sure that the team is capable, protect yourself, because not only you're going to lose money if they hard slashed, right? So just don't go validate because you want to validate. Validate and educate yourself about it, and choose your validator that way. That's my point of view.
Definitely, definitely. And talking about education, about painting a profile, there is a question that I will ask as carry on to what I'm going to ask next. But can we do a super quick overview of all the products that you're currently guys working on? Can anybody remember
Yeah.
all of them?
Okay, so we can break it down into stages of the Orbital Apes life cycle. Okay, so first, the roadmap. The roadmap included the validator and the marketplace. As mentioned, we delivered that before selling the NFTs, and with that, we basically finished the roadmap for the minting and of the NFTs. We also have in our roadmap the Apes game. Uh, but for the past few months, we have been focused on the Hubli hackathon. This is an Evmos exclusive hackathon, and there are different rails in which you can compete, but obviously we're going to be focused on the NFT metaverse category, right? So for this hackathon, the past few months, we have been working in two things. One, Orbit V2, which is the update we pushed to Orbit. Basically, you now can create bundles and sell multiple NFTs as a single bundle. And we also introduced auctions, and we introduced the ability to use multiple IBC breached tokens. So you can buy and sell NFTs with Atom and Osmo. You can bridge it through IBC and use it in our marketplace. So that's the first submission and one of the few projects, the two projects that we've been working on the past months. And then our second submission for the hackathon is this permissionless decentralized raffle system. Um, so yeah, that's basically what we have been doing, and we're going to continue to push updates and make the raffle and Orbit V2 better until September 20th. September 20th is the deadline of the hackathon, and then starting that date, we move going back and looking into the game and planning the game, developing the game. And so to run the game, honestly, we're going to have to push um, to get some infrastructure that we currently don't have in Evmos as well, as I mentioned before. So that's also one pain point that we have right now. We don't have all the technology and infra that we need to build the game right now. Of course, we can start working ahead, but yeah, it's gonna get some time for that. So I guess those are all the projects that we have, plus the validator.
I was gonna say you forgot the validator. CO, has Mr. Seth forgotten anything? Do you have something that you remember that Mr. Seth could forgot?
No, I think that's it for now. Like we've been experimenting with a few things. Not ready to announce anything yet, but some community engagement. We're also gonna be present in Cosmoverse. I think this is a cool thing. Like I'm gonna be there personally. So
Ooh.
like if you know the team behind it or they wanna know some exclusives, maybe some alpha in Cosmoverse, then they're free to approach us, learn more about the project. And I think this is going to be something that could potentially bring us to future stages. Like we have people in the ecosystem to meet them to discuss collaborations and partnerships. So I think this event is going to be one of the next steps for the Orbital Apes. I think and engaging with the Cosmos ecosystem is the right approach. This is going to open a few doors for us.
I think I'm gonna mention one project you both forgot. You didn't forget, but I'm gonna mention it. Well, I think helping others is also a project. Decentralizing the network, in a sense, is also a project. So I think I would like to mention that for you, if that's
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely. I mean, like with you, when you contacted us, like as Mr. Sir mentioned, to do your own research when delegating. So us from the mint and from the funds we received, we stake pretty much like the vast majority of them are still staked. So what we were doing in the beginning to centralization and also to diversify, as Mr. Sir mentioned, was staking to other validators. So we got to interact with a lot of them, with you included. So what we did was part of our mint funds were put into other validators to help them climb the set and to help them be active. And I think it was like pretty successful. Like we managed to keep some very important and key people in Evmos, some of the teams that validate, bring in infrastructure and all of that. And all they needed was a small push at first. So it was amazing to be able to do that, to be in that position. And it also helped open doors because right now we're in constant contact with a lot of new people from the Evmos ecosystem. We can continue growing and developing with them. So it was awesome to be able to do it.
Thanks a lot for that, and thanks a lot for the work that you guys are doing it and carry on doing it. And by the way, whoever is listening, the guys have mentioned the FMOS hackathon and one of the previous episodes that we did. Actually, in fact, it was two, well, one, sorry, with the Citizen Odyssey. If you guys want to look it up on YouTube, it is on our channel. It is about the hackathon with the Hobby team, and the guys talk a lot about what they're looking for. The guys talk a lot about their ideas, and it's got Nick from Evmos as well, that where he mentions his thoughts, and also about Cosmoverse. Whoever is not aware, Cosmoverse is the biggest Cosmos ecosystem. I would say more focused on Cosmos, but it's a Cosmos ecosystem event that is going to be held. This is the second one, held in Medellin, Colombia, 26th to 28th of September. And we're Citizen Cosmos. We are sponsoring the after party together with Bostrom and Cyber. So yeah, unfortunately, we're not going to be present this time in physically, but the guys from Orbital Apes are present. I think that's already a good enough. Well, at least my curiosity would kill me if I could go. I would definitely go to see the guys in face. So the next question, by the way, and this is relating to the project. Could you describe a little bit more about the OAV token utility and any airdrops going on currently?
Yeah, so for the OEV airdrop is going to be to go to our Discord and check the OEV airdrop channel, because there you have like the complete medium where it explains the tokenomics and all of that. In summary, it's a loyalty reward token. So people that stick with us get this token, and you can use it to claim OEV Apes collection, which is some fun and community-oriented designs that come out each month. So people can acquire pretty much new designs of the brand every month, and it's something fun we like to do because some of the designs are to have fun with the community. For example, we have the wrecked ape, McDonald's dressed ape, following the common meme in crypto. Then we have some super crazy designs that it's something that Baz from our design team can give more. When he was making the collection, it's a massive job, so you can't really give too many details to individual NFTs. But in this collection, you can really focus on creating something unique and special. So that's the use of OEV. Then the the airdrop that was Territory Network, like we're talking to them for future collaborations to expand on what. It's something all of our holders are going to receive just for holding their apes. So it's something we're really excited about. Be able to bring value to them while we grow our brand, the Territory Network. So yeah, new information this week and next week. Territory mentioned they are going to launch mainnet this month. So it's something soon, so people can be expecting that pretty.
Nice.
I think OEV should be looked at, when you go to your pharmacy and maybe they give you a loyalty card, and then after shopping a lot in that Coke with your points, is basically the same thing. It's the same thing. It's just a loyalty reward system, and you can get one of a kind NFTs with those points once you get enough.
I mean, getting Coke in the pharmacies is I love that.
Coca-Cola.
Obviously, we're talking about Coca-Cola for everybody who's listening out there. Nothing else. No, thanks for that, man. That was good. I know that we run short on time, and I know that the guys are. I know that people have a lot of questions. I can see that the questions keep coming. I have a lot of questions myself, but I know that the guys are also coming from a back-to-back call, and I imagine it's not the first one. So I'm gonna start slowly wrapping things up, and I'm gonna. There's another question here in the chat that I'm gonna ask, and then I'm gonna slowly start wrapping up, guys. Um, is there any plans in the future to reward long-term ape holders against short-term ape holders, or is it a core OA value to see each other holders equal?
Well, I think just by default, by nature, long-term holders get more rewards, of course, because you've been accruing your validator fees and your orbit fees uh, through a longer period of time, right? So just out of that, you're gonna get more. It's gonna have more rewards accrued, and if you keep compounding them, then you're gonna end up with a nice reward system at the end. Uh, but yeah, like, I mean, we're always open to suggestions. We're always open for like to doing cool things, cool events, cool airdrops. I don't know. So yeah, definitely long-term holders. Like, I'm not saying they're not gonna get anything. I'm not saying that they're do gonna get it, but we're open to explore different paths.
And by the way, for people, for whoever's asking the question, I'm pretty sure that me and CO went a little bit into like more of a philosophical discussion in the podcast episode we did on citizencosmos.space. So feel free to check it out, and I think the discussion goes a little bit more in depth into that. Guys, as I mentioned, the time is kind of, I don't know how it ran out, but it's been an hour already. And like I said, the guys are off back to back calls and probably not the first ones. So we're going to wrap it up. But before we do, guys, is there any questions that you would like to point out as the best ones? How are we going to do this? Or was there a question that you think is worth the gift? And I'm not talking about the gift what we promised. I'm talking about the NFT here, of course, or not today, as they say. While the guys are thinking, I'm still gonna mention that yes, we are still gonna send out Atom for 3 best questions each, but we're gonna do it separately after XCO. Sorry.
Yeah, so just let us talk between us. Like, there's been some
Okay.
great questions. Honestly, I appreciate
Okay.
people engaging like this, and we're gonna reveal who gets the prize.
Okay. Cool. 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 So, guys, whoever is asking the questions, I'm gonna ask Roman, our manager, to drop the Discord link, our Discord link in the YouTube channel where you chat. Sorry, where you guys are asking the question. I don't know what's wrong with me. My brain is also frying. I'm sorry. Also back to back calls. If you don't see it there, just follow our Twitter on Cosmos underscore voice or Citizen Cosmos.space. Join our Discord, and we will discuss it. We will reveal it also there in case you get lost. But I'm sure you will not lose Orbital Apes Twitter, or and you'll able to follow them. I'm just saying to follow our prizes as well. So thank you very much for the questions, everybody who joined in and asking them. It's been very lively. Thank you very much. CEO and Mr. Sarah, thank you very much for joining at the end of I know probably not another easy day. So thanks.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
Yes.
much.
Thanks, guys. It's been a pleasure, and I hope for everybody again who is listening to the recording or listening or watching this live, it helps you to paint a slightly better picture of what Orbital Apes are about a validator. I know Orbital Apes is a big validator already, and they're already out there with an open, I mean, with what they do. But still, I hope this helps you to get more understanding about what the guys are doing and their motivation behind it. And if not, please do also listen to the episode we did with CO that has a lot more in-depth kind of things going in. But that's been great. So thank you very much again. Been a huge pleasure, and join us next time. Bye bye, guys.